Hello, I'm Anthony Casessi. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I'm currently at the University at Buffalo in my junior year. My major is international studies and I have a minor in Chinese. And I happened to be at this presentation because I was giving a presentation with one of my past teachers at the University at Buffalo about a program that she was doing and I happened to be a participant in. And I had the opportunity to, luckily I had the opportunity to come here and be a presenter, and I'm very honored. The presentation concerned a virtual exchange program that my teacher had administrated with a school in China, because at such a low level of Chinese proficiency, it's very important to have those dialogues with with authentic Chinese speakers. So my part of the presentation was the student perspective. What is the students' experiences with these virtual exchange programs? What do they get out of it? And how did I transform as a language learner? And I hope that my goal was to, through my experiences and through my transformations, other teachers and other students can see that through these authentic experiences, motivation is just simply a natural thing that is produced, and it makes you want to just keep learning and keep loving learning your language. We all know that language, the base of language is communication. Without communication, language doesn't really mean anything. So having the opportunity to, at any level, at any proficiency of learning a foreign language, to have the opportunity to talk with, a native speaker of that language, that is one of the most precious things about the entire learning process. And through that process, through being able to express yourself with a language that isn't your own, that motivation is simply, it's always there, and it's always being created, because there's nothing better than being able to have that ability, having that ability. It's, I think it's something magical. I think it's something really special. I started my Chinese studies actually very recently, if you take in relative to my entire life. I'm 20 years old and I've been learning Chinese for only 2 years. I started at my freshman year at the University at Buffalo, and I'm only in my junior year now, so around 2 years of language study. And learning Chinese has taken me to places that I could have never thought about in my entire life. It's given me experiences that I will cherish for the rest of my life. I've been able to go to China twice. I've participated in many speaking competitions and expos and presentations as I am here. And I was able to win the Chinese Bridge, the United States. I was the regional champion for the United States of the Chinese Bridge competition twice, this last year and this year. I've also been able to, because of my participation in speaking competitions, win scholarships and win these opportunities to go to China with the organizers of those competitions. For example, I was able to go with the AAICE. And through all of these things, I've been able to also meet so many new people. I've been able to simply, I would say that the greatest thing that came out of learning language, even in these 2 years, was I was able to make a new version of myself with Mandarin. I was able to be a new me, using Mandarin to express myself with new tones and a new tone of voice and new expressions. And I think that's definitely the most that it's brought to me is that. In the classroom, I would say that the greatest benefit that the classroom brought to me was the fast-paced learning. I feel like it was a very, very positively, really just taking the initiative to speak in class and to participate in the class. That was motivated by my Chinese teachers that made learning in the classroom so beneficial to my Mandarin learning process. I think that my teachers always gave me the greatest opportunities to express myself. It wasn't just a I listen, they speak form of learning or a form of teaching. It was more, we were all a cooperative unit in the classroom. And I still feel this to this day when I'm taking my classes, even presently. I feel that through that initiative to express yourself in the classroom, in every year that I've taken Chinese, that was what made the classroom so beneficial to me. And that's what made it. I remember my freshman year, I always had a math class before my Mandarin class. And I remember there would be some days where my only thought in my brain was, I need to get out of this math class so I can go to Mandarin. It's the only thing I want to do that day. So I feel like if a class is like that, it just shows that there's got to be something good about it. There was this one time when I was in Xi'an, one of the oldest cities in China, and I was with my group with AAICE on a study abroad experience. And we had gone to this small little alley, they're called hutong, gone to a small little alley. And there was these two men playing Chinese checkers in this little alley. It was very narrow. And I remember I kind of split off from my group, and I kind of spectated them from a distance. And I think one of them kind of looked over and he saw me and he guided me over. And around this time I was learning Mandarin for about a year and a half now. And he let me sit and he asked me a question, I'll translate it. He said, in America I heard that it's really dangerous. And I thought to myself, well, how do I explain to this guy that it's not all like that? And in a year and a half of learning Mandarin, I never thought I was able to really explain the experience of being an American with 1.5 years of Mandarin to this random guy that I met in an alley in Xi'an, having this very politically geared conversation with him over Chinese checkers, denying their cigarettes that they were giving to me, all using Mandarin, of course. And I think that through that dialogue, through that communication I was able to have, through that interaction, I think that that was definitely one of the most interesting experiences I've ever had with Mandarin, was being able to tell this guy that, America isn't just a chaotic, war zone. It is also just as peaceful as China in some ways. And so having the experience, the opportunity to have that experience through Mandarin is something that I always think of that story when I think of my learning process. So this book that I am showing is a outside of class reading material for learning Chinese. And what it basically is, it is a bunch of stories about language learners and some more complex and more specific Chinese cultural topics, such as the names, how Chinese names are said, the things that are important in Chinese culture when you're addressing someone, holidays, how Chinese people celebrate holidays. And the cool thing about this book is that it incorporates my own stories in China, my own experiences with Chinese culture, and writes them into a easily understandable and readable dialogue and language for a Mandarin learner in the early stages of learning Mandarin. And the coolest thing about this about this book is, the fact that I can be a part of someone else's learning process, that my stories can motivate other language learners, because the basis of this book is to give other non-native speakers a look into what their life can be like if they continue learning Mandarin. And I think that's one of the best things about this book, is that not only are they able to understand it, but they're able to work off of it. They're able to even gain a motivation from it. They know that other people have had these experiences. Now, I definitely can as well, right? So I think that's one of the greatest things about this Mandarin reader, is that, very, very abundant in that, the identity, the cultural identity of China, but as well how other Mandarin learners comprehend that cultural identity. At first, when they told me that they were willing to add my stories into this book, I hesitated a little bit, because I had a little bit of that identity crisis. I thought, am I good enough? Are my stories really that good to be put in a story? Like, what can people really get from my stories? But then I realized that there's something really, really special about, well, first of all, personally, the fact that they're willing to add my stories. It shows that, my Chinese learning process for myself, for my own growth, is something that had so much meaning and so much value that an entire publisher of textbooks was willing to integrate my own experiences into this book. And I think, now what does that give to other Mandarin learners? Well, I think that shows them that, the fact that they were willing to put my story into this book shows that the value of my learning experiences is enough for others to find their own find the value in their own learning experiences, in their own Mandarin learning experiences, or any language, you could say. So I think that's probably the most special part about, the fact that this book has real stories in it, which I think is very, very unique. I always kind of picture my future with Mandarin as, we always say a light at the end of the tunnel, but I feel like my tunnel, I really don't see the light. However, Mandarin provides me lights in my tunnel to keep going. So I think that, there's something really cool about finding something that you love so much that as long as you keep with it, as long as you keep studying it every single day, something is gonna happen that's gonna make you really feel happy. You're gonna be really satisfied with your future life. And I think that specifically, I find that all of the value and all of the interactions that I've had with my Mandarin teachers, the amazing the classroom experiences I've had with my Mandarin teachers as well, they've given me, I think, a really, really big inspiration to continue with learning. I think Mandarin learning, language learning, is something that something is really special about this life, about this world, about us as humans. And I think that in my future, because of all these experiences, because of even having the experience to be in this book, I find that there's something really, really special about being a service to others. And I found that not only have I found that in my past experiences in China, helping other people translate things, but the fact that my book can help other Mandarin learners, find their own way in the language. I think that service that I'm giving is something that will continue to be my northern star that'll keep guiding me through my life and through my Mandarin learning process. The ultimate goal of being a Mandarin learner, the tool that Mandarin gives you, when I'm telling this to another Mandarin learner, would be that expressing yourself is the most precious thing about this language. And I believe that, if I were to tell them in Mandarin, I would say, 坚持才是胜利. And that means that as long as you persevere, you will be victorious. It's a very common phrase. And I think that if you persevere to express yourself, and if you find any way possible to use all the words that you can to use your mouth to transmit some sort of value, some sort of idea to another person, then I don't think there's anything better in this world. And I think that as long as they keep with studying Mandarin, as long as they keep with the process, they will find that the things that they will be able to say, the things that a person in Mandarin, learning Mandarin would be able to say, it would blow their mind. There are ideas, there are wisdoms of this world that Mandarin unlocks for you.